Abhishek, we're live.
Okay. Hello, viewers. Welcome to another session of Anajori's webinars. Today, we have two guests with us. My name is Abhishek, and I will be your host for tonight. Today's session, as you know, on Fridays, we have animal welfare and rescue and welfare sessions. Anajori hosts these webinars throughout the week. These webinars range from education, elderly care, gender equality, entrepreneurship, etc. So today we have Dr. Prerana and Dr. Manshi from PRCF, Puppy Rescue Crew Foundation. And they'll be telling us more about their work on the ground and how they help educate people resolve human-animal conflicts, and they educate people about taking care of animals. They even start from the school levels, and they go out. They work on the ground, so they will be able to tell us more about the ground situation. So, Dr. Prerana, I'll come to you first. If you could tell us something about how you started this organization.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us, Anajori. I think this is our utmost, pleasure to talk to you guys. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this probably started off when last year I was in the US and I had a personal, I would say, a medical emergency. I know, even doctors have medical emergencies like that. So I was in the ICU for about 2 months, and I think, life came full circle. And then I sort of went into a questioning, or I would say the ikigai moment, where I was, sort of self-introspecting that, what is the purpose of life really? Are we continuously behind materialistic things? So after I came back to my hometown in Guwahati, I obviously ended up going to Nandini Barua's beautiful shelter, and I ended up adopting Xander, who is now the face of PRCF India. So I think once an animal enters your life, you have a really, I would say, you are put against a lot of soul searching questions, and I think everybody who's had an interaction with an animal will know of that, will speak of that. And then that's how I thought, why is this entire conflict between the human animal interaction, why is it that we are continuously in this search of being after certain breeds, or we only find certain breeds cute? And when I would take Xander to the veterinary college, I would see that, he would be treated differently. I mean, not the doctors, not the staff, but, the people who would be in the waiting area. And that's when, I don't know, I would say probably I have been thinking, okay, what about all the, furry kids that were on campus in Sikkim with us, when we were in med school? So somehow, I don't know, I think I was constantly thinking of, okay, which junior am I supposed to, approach? क्या वो फिर से सोचेंगे कि ये ragging के लिए बुला रहे हैं? So then somehow, I don't know, Manshi's face would just, I just had a deja vu kind of a moment, and I was like, let me reach out to her. So that's how I sort of pulled Manshi in. And I think since then, last year, I've been annoying her to get PRCF into what it is today. And I think it was very kind of her. She immediately loved the idea. And since she was still a student there back at med school, I think we could, sort of solidify our grounds in our med school campus. And that's it. I think, just that small moment of thought that I had in my mind. And yeah, that exactly is the backstory of where PRCF India started.
So, Manshi, how did you feel, and what was going through your mind when you were approached by Prerana?
Hi, so when I was approached by Prerana for the very first time, I was actually very nervous when she messaged me. I was thinking like, did I do something wrong? What is up? I was very scared. And I've always been an animal lover since childhood, because I've always been around animals. So yeah, I've always wanted to do something, bring about a change, do something for them, give them something in return. But I have never found a platform, or how to go about it. So when Prerana texted me, yes, I was very nervous. I was asking around like, did I do something wrong? So yeah, when she brought forward the idea of what she is planning or what she wanted to do, without even thinking twice, I was like, I'm all up for it. Let's do it. Let's start it off. We started off in our campus, where we could easily tackle, like, somewhere we wanted to begin, where we are, campus and our dogs, we are very close to them, so we wanted to begin with that, provide them shelter, vaccination, food, whatever necessary for them. That is how we started off. And ever since then, I have never regretted my decision. Even though I was in my final year, there was a lot going on with studies, but I was just like, it's okay. I will manage it. This is something that I've been wanting to do.
And
So
can
it
I
was
just
like
add
a
one?
two-person show. Yes, please.
So these dogs that used to live in our campus, I mean, they have seen batches of doctors going out, they've seen people graduate year after year, but never really, I mean, I would say properly taken care of. So I think when we made that shift in our thoughts, and when we wanted to get that done, a lot of alumni who are probably in different parts of the country or across the globe, they started sending us messages and aid in any form saying, oh, wow, we remember that dog. I mean, is he or she still alive? So it was basically like, in some way we had created a platform probably for all the alumni to come back together. So I guess that's how Sikkim will always remain our Uno chapter, and we'll probably have the, like, I would say that would always hold a special place in our hearts.
So what was the first thing you did when the two of you embarked on this journey? What was the first project that you undertook?
Okay, Manshi, I think you
Yes.
should tell them about the Sikkim thing.
Yeah. So when we started PRCF in our campus, it was, I guess, 4 or 5 of us, like 4 or 5 of our friends, including not just from batch, from junior batch, etc. So we started it off. We first planned out how do we want to help out our dogs. So first we started, let's just count the number of dogs. Like, we have a lot of dogs, so sometimes they obviously, like, just like us, they also have their territories. Like this, like, dog A will not enter dog B's territory, so we had to demarcate them. We had to see who all are there, and then start about how should we make their life better, I would say. So first, our first ever mission was going around the campus, seeing how many dogs we have, clicking their pictures to remember by. And since that time, we did not, I guess, it was just like a spontaneous plan. So what we did was we bought ribbons and we tied it around the college just to identify, yes, these are the dogs of our campus, just for our demarcation, so that we can start working on them. After that, after that whole process, people saw what we are doing. People approached us like, what is happening in the campus? Not just our campus, not just MBBS students, but from nursing, from physiotherapy, and other nearby colleges like Sikkim University, SRM. And that is how more and more people got interested, more and more people who are all animal lovers, but like just like me, confused as to where to start from, whom to join. They all came and joined PRCF, and our family just grew from there. Like, I guess in Sikkim around, we have around, if I'm not wrong, we have around 30 volunteers, and these 30 are not just part of our campus, but from other universities, and even some of them are located in remote areas, like away from Gangtok. So yeah,
Mhm.
that is how. And yeah, the first mission was identifying the dogs. Then we started feeding them. After that, we planned it out, like what is the most necessary thing for these dogs. So we then started off with the vaccination. We had to plan out, because vaccination, as you must be knowing, that it's not very cheap. Like, anti-rabies might be free, but the other vaccinations are not very cheap. They're quite expensive. And being students, I cannot, plus, being a student, I cannot ask so much from my family also, but I had to like collect my pocket money. I had to ask. People were collecting their whatever they had money. We are just contributing in any way possible and asking our faculty members who would like to help us out. So luckily, for the vaccination, since yeah, we all are doctors, but right back then we were students. We did not know much about how to, especially with dogs, like especially with animals, it's different with animals, different with humans, right? So we did not know how, like we wanted to vaccinate, but like how should we do it? Whom should we contact? We should have someone professional to help us out with this situation. That is when we got to know about Sara. So Sara is a, I would say, an organization in Gangtok, not in Gangtok, sorry, in Sikkim, that helps out all the animals for not it just not just for the animals on the streets, but for your pets. Any, they don't discriminate. Like it's any for all the animals, they take care of all the animals, be it rescue, be it any RTA, if your dog or cat is sick, for that purpose. And we collaborated with Tara. We contacted the director and we told them that we want to do this. This is what we want to do in our campus. And they were really delighted. They were very happy about it. And that is how Sarah came and helped us with the vaccination for all the dogs in our campus. So yeah, I would say actually, apart from the ribbon tying, that was the collar mission, vaccination was the first actual event that we had in our campus.
I think what
And
Abhishek, sorry, I think what
yes,
Abhishek
yes,
here
yes,
and
please.
yeah, I think what Abhishek here or the entire audience would, I think, get confused here, Mansi, because I wasn't there in Sikkim, right? I had already graduated. So Manshi, along with all the sort of, all the entire group of, I would say, interested, volunteers who wanted to go in. So they had to go around. That's first. Second, we cannot really use radium reflective collars on the dogs because it continuously rains in Sikkim. So it's not really like a healthier option for them. Not only is it difficult health wise, but the radium just sort of I would say washes off, right? And here Sarah is something which I guess we'll probably be forever indebted to. They are the ones who are sort of working in consideration with the government, and they have doctors coming in from the famous Vets Beyond Borders, and they are also the reason why Sikkim is the only rabies free state in the country. So that's all because of how Dr. Thinley and his team are working continuously in Sikkim. So that's how we could have a very strong base in Sikkim, because a system was already in place. We just sort of had to get into the cycle and work with them. So yeah, I guess that was that. Sorry, go ahead, Abhishek.
So now, what does your work encompass? You also work with schools and you work to educate people and kids. So can you
Right,
tell us something
right.
about that?
Okay, so I think when okay, so
Like,
Nandini Barua,
if you could
I
tell us first about the shift, like
yeah.
you were working completely on the ground at first, rescuing and collaring these stray animals, and then vaccinating them. Then how did you
Mhm.
shift to educating?
Okay, so here's the thing. I think what Manchi was trying to tell you was how we sort of, started this whole movement kind of a thing within the campus. But you also have to see where I was working in, right? So me and Manchi, we decided we did not want to limit ourselves to one city, right? Hence, we were constantly thinking that, okay, should we register ourselves as an NGO, as a society, as a trust? And that's when we happened to chance upon a Section 8 company. So we wanted to take this nationally, right? Because I wanted this movement or this revolution to kind of empower youth to a larger extent, I would say. Hence, I was basically doing all the background or the conception of PRCF India, right? So meeting with the lawyers, CAs, etc., etc. So yeah, so this is where we thought when we were, because they always tell you during the formation of an NPO, you're always supposed to make your vision and mission statement. So when me and Manshi were working on that, I told her, I mean, what if people like us, normal people like you and me, everybody feels empowered that yes, they don't need to depend on anybody else, but rather take it upon themselves and work for it, right? So this is when we thought, then what is lacking? So it was basically probably a root cause analysis, I would say, where we were trying to understand wo gap kahan pe hai, where is that gap? And this is when I would say that a person who's been a huge inspiration and I would say a huge support system to me, Miss Nandari Barwa. I was talking to her, and obviously she's been a prominent guest on Anna Jury. We were talking to her, and then she told me, you know what? There are a lot of people who are trying to do the rescue part, but what if you guys attend to the cruelty part that is happening throughout the country, and for that, where is the problem really? And that's when we understood how is it that the present generation or the ones before that are so sort of conditioned towards the animals. Why is it that Indian pariahs are not really sweet or not really good looking to them? Or do they not look good in a BMW that you're, sort of driving? So that is when we understood that jo issue hai, probably that's in the head, that's in the minds. How is it that such young children are today, taken into a stereotypical dimension of, okay, how did they realize which is cute, which is not? And sorry, I'm just using the word cute here so that it's easy for everyone to understand. That is when I guess we realize that education, and especially humane education, is the need of the hour. This is something that when we go out to schools and colleges, we keep telling the kids, we share our stories and we tell them, kuch acha nahi kar sakte ho, to kuch bura bhi mat kijiye. If you, nobody is expected to be a hardcore animal lover at first, right? Surprisingly, within our, volunteer crew of 100 people and probably 20 interns, I would say probably there are 20% of people who are scared of dogs, who are still, in that, fear phase. But, they're constantly trying every day to bridge that gap. And that very basis where they are trying to bridge the gap and sort of trying to come to terms with working with animals, I think that's the very basis of why we wanted education to be out there. So I guess that's how humane education and sort of, going to schools and colleges became the very basis of PRCF.
Okay, I think Prerana's stuck. Okay, there she is. So what you're trying to say is humane education. The point that you are trying to emphasize on that humane education deals with the psychology of the people.
Okay.
Does it deal with the psychology of the people, like trying to change their understanding of animals?
Okay. This is something that we get often asked, that what are we trying, right? So, it is said that humans on a general level have all been born humane, right? They've all been born humane. And it's only when as they grow up, they see so many, so many ideas or concepts in society that they sort of get an impression, okay, is this how the world should be? So through humane education, I would say that more than psychology only, yes, psychology is a big part of it. I would say behavior and attitude towards it also changes. I would include that, the kind of behavior and attitude that we have towards animals is a big part about how the psychology sort of kind of ropes in. Because, if I will say that, okay, I am humane, how do I prove that I'm humane, right? Because there's nothing to prove here. Kindness was always supposed to be ingrained in our blood, I would say, or in our souls, whatever term you would like to use. So I would feel that it's kind of, going back to who we were, really. This is something that we keep telling the kids, that you guys are doing just fine. You love animals, stay right there. Let nobody in the world tell you that this should be otherwise. So, yes.
Prerana, one thing you mentioned that it is often, the children are conditioned to believe that one species of dogs is more cute than the other. So, like, I have often seen this online in several Facebook pages. Like, we have Pet Rescues Guwahati, Pet Rescues Kolkata. Someone, or maybe the adoption pages. So someone posts something about him wanting to adopt a dog, which is like something like a pure breed German Shepherd, or a Labrador, something like that. Often it is seen that people start trolling him. Okay, like, and he also defends himself, saying that it's my choice what I take. So, do you think it's wrong to take having a choice? Do you think it's wrong to have a choice of something? Like, even we choose our life partners, right? I have had this. I saw this lot, this fight, rather argument on one page, and he was saying, ki, if we can choose our life partner, why not? Even a pet is my family member. Why can't I choose my dog? So, can you tell us something about that? Is it wrong to choose a dog?
Okay, so I think this is a very good question. And I don't know if I'll be, I think jailed for it. Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, since we end up choosing entirely how our life should be led, or what kind of sexuality we have, or probably anything. Aajkal to I think which burrito flavor also you're having, you're like, oh my choice. Somebody asking you not to wear a certain piece of clothing is also my body, my choice. So I think this is again another part here. So when all the animal activists that you see, that they I wouldn't say animal activists really, but the animal lovers in general who start trolling him, now there are two things I would bring to light here. First of all, how ethically are you buying or bringing that breed dog, right? I mean, it's just like, I would say, good white collar job money, and money that is coming through other means. How are you so sure of how that baby dog is coming in? Is the person aware of how the baby dog is coming in? I can give you in writing, Abhishek, that more than, I would say 80% of the people do not even know where the dog is coming from. And when I is, if you're so interested in buying, are you making an informed decision? And I'm sure, as illustrious as you are, you can completely understand when I'm saying an informed decision. A lot of people buy out dogs thinking it just adds to their value. It just, becomes a showpiece. It is
A
so,
social status of sorts.
Exactly. There could be, suppose Manshi here has a Labrador, which she's been taking care of probably 15, 16 years. Tomorrow, if he sort of, conceives with a female dog, and I tell her, oh, hey, I want to adopt a dog, I know what kind of breeding situations it's coming from. She's not doing it for a monetary purpose or a financial gain, right? I'm just telling you like an anecdote so that it's easy for understand. How informed
Right.
are you? Yeah, how informed are we when we are buying, right? And honestly, how are you even buying a life? I know people pay for chicken and mutton to be bought into their homes, but how are you, buying a life right there? Then I would say, why can't the animals say, my life, my choice, right?
Right.
And if you go back into the history of India and how the foreign breeds started coming, it was only during the British Raj that these foreign breeds actually started coming in. All our beautiful Indian pariahs, there are about 34 bloodlines, and they were part of Maharajas and, not just Rajputs, but throughout, Maharashtra, the Deccans. So it's almost like they were part of the royal families. So, how is it that today we do not respect them? Today we do not look into how they are really. Is going vocal for local this conditioned that even tab log bol rahe hain ki my dog my choice? And one more thing here, Abhishek. Uh, Fine, you bought a puppy, you know uh, he grew up into a beautiful dog. Why do you guys abandon them? Why is it that in Uzan Bazaar, Nandini Ba found literally two abandoned Labradors? Why? What did you do with your Labrador? What happened to your my pet, my choice? Right? And this is an ever growing problem. जब छोटे हैं तो it's fine. Oh, it's a puppy. We can play around. तो क्या जब बुढ़े हो जाते, is it so easy to just let them go? Right? And trust me, when you, I guess, see the conditions in how the breeding takes place, especially, commercial breeding, I think a lot of people would then have a different answer to the question you just put up. So I would say, please make an informed decision. And a lot of people probably don't understand how uh, good or how easy to maintain Indian pariahs are. And that's how they're called pariahs, really, because they are a group of different bloodlines. And a lot of bloodlines have actually become extinct because we have either, killed them or starved them to death. So, yeah, only a few bloodlines remain. So I guess it's again,
Essentially, what you're saying is that it's okay to have choose a foreign breed, but one should make an informed decision when getting it. And buying is not ethical. You should rather adopt it.
yeah. And then again, when we talk about ethics here, really, I mean, apart from the kind of upbringing that you have or the kind of environment that you grow up in, there must have been somebody who told those very people, right? I mean, that buying is okay. When did buying a dog become okay, right? I mean, I have probably, grown up in a family where we were constantly surrounded by dogs, and they were always adopted after somebody abandoned them. So this very question, that the ethical part of it, I think that's how I think Abhishek just answered the very first question that he had put up. This exactly is the basis of why we want humane education to be part of, little children's minds, the youth of this country, because it's time to focus on the future that's coming, because the ones that we already have already created that the damage. So here we would say that probably damage control, you know lies in the preventive part of it, hence the humane education.
Let me come to Manshi. Can you tell us, if there is any way to get some kind of legal, to take some kind of legal step or get some kind of legal barricade to this unethical breeding? Just it could be a law can be made somehow that people take in or just adopt dogs, not buy them. Is there any ways that we can do that?
Well, this is actually it's from like, if you ask me, it's, I feel like it's yes, I don't I'm not very sure if there's any if we can take any legal action as of now, but what I personally feel is that yes, there should be legal actions taken against it. Why? Because like what Prerana said, the circumstances in what breeding actually happens, if you see it, if you even hear how it is happening, you will be in shock. Like, it is very disturbing. It is very disturbing. It is not at all natural. It is not at all natural, and it is very uncomfortable to even hear about it. Okay.
Mhm.
And this should be definitely stopped, because we're causing, like, dogs, like, just because they cannot speak doesn't mean they don't have emotions.
Mhm.
Dogs, like animals, feel all sorts of emotions. They feel love, they feel hatred, they feel sadness, they feel jealousy too. So when we do something like that to them, and we force them into something that is out of their, not just out of there, but just out of our comfort zone also, something if we were forced into, it is just, it is just brutal, I would say. Okay. So
Mhm.
yeah, we should actually, I am not very sure about if there is any legal actions being taken against it, but I feel there should be a law made about it. They should take legal actions. They should find these people who are doing it, and they should be fined, or whatever possible, whatever is the uh penalty that can be given to these people should be there.
Can I just add something here?
Yes, 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 please.
Yeah. um Here, I mean, if we look at it on both sides of the story here, right? uh Breeders, a lot of times, if you question them or if you try to bring the law to them, they'll tell you, oh, we have a license issued already, oh, we are running under particular conditions. I mean, a lot of times in Guwahati itself, the dogs are being sort of imported from either abroad in horrendous conditions, or they are brought in from various parts of the country. Like, I mean, come on, everybody knows it. I don't even mind saying it, like Punjab or Maharashtra, etc. Why is it that once the puppies reach Guwahati, why is it that, death is so onto their face? It's literally like वो लोग बेचते हैं and अगले दिन they say, यार मेरा puppy तो मर गया. So this is when another question is raised. How many times did you check on with the person that you bought from that the dog has been transported or brought in properly? I mean, we know when we tried for adoptions abroad, the kind of paperwork that one has to go through and the, all the obligations. So, kahan se la rahe? So there comes the question again, who's monitoring them? Is there a board to monitor them? See, the reason I'm putting questions in this answer is because people know the answer to this. I'm sort of just reinstating the fact, how many times have these breeders been checked? How many times have their licenses been actually reviewed? Don't we renew our driving licenses? How many times are the breeding licenses sort of seen? And just look at a country like Tibet and also the state of Uttarakhand. Do you know that they have literally given people a huge amount of ration per month and other kind of benefits if they adopt a stray dog? Here, they do not even mean Indian Pariah or Labrador. That apart, anybody stray, anybody out on the road, if they adopt, they get a string of benefits. So this is an idea which I have been really hoping that we can bring to other states as well. Because see, the human emotion is such, I think sabko wo log ya to lubhane pe hi they will work towards this. And there are times when a lot of poor people have reached out to us asking, can we adopt please? And that's when we are thinking, okay, sorry, I mean poor here only, in situations where we feel probably they'll not be able to handle the expenses of a dog. Trust me, Abhishek, does not matter what kind of class they belong to. Sometimes I feel the much lower sections of society take better care of our animals. I mean, you must have seen those photographs.
But then, as you mentioned that when you brought in dogs for adoption, you had to go through so much paperwork, and then these people get it so easily. So don't you think that there lies the barrier that people cannot go through an adoption process without going through so much of paperwork? If they can get it easily, they will of course opt for that. Why go through so much paperwork? So of course I think that will be playing in some people's minds.
Okay, I would say everybody in this world loves easy money, right? Be it, whether it comes in any form. I think anything in life nowadays, especially nowadays, is just easy when, it just comes in just like that. When I'm saying this, I think for our adoptions, because we are so particular about how we do our paperwork, how much, identity proofs that we take, people actually look at us and say, क्या ये देसी कुत्ते के लिए आप लोग इतना formalities कर रहे? What they don't understand is that adoption is a bigger thing than all of us. Adoption literally means you're adopting somebody into the family. They are becoming a part of your lives. And
is there a way to simplify the adoption process?
Okay, see. Oh, thank you for asking me this. To simplify adoption procedures, how many times have you heard probably a couple say, चलो ना यार आज Saturday के लिए एक shelter visit करते, चलो ना यार आज date के लिए एक shelter visit करते? How many times have we heard that? We have not yet made shelter culture in India very normal. How many parents do you see tell their kids, चलो बच्चे आज 2 घंटा इस shelter में जाके volunteer करो? See, that is where the gap is. Only when we normalize things, people will understand that adoptions ke liye, it is so important that we go through a process, right? Simplify kab hoga? When people will understand why this is required. See, suppose tomorrow I propose to you, Abhishek, that please adopt this, Indian pariah. These are the formalities. You know about the entire procedure. You will not mind it. But there have been a lot of times where we have been told, "अरे, हम तो बस आपसे 2 किलोमीटर की दूरी पे रहते हैं. कभी भी आके check कर लीजिए." We have a responsibility too. You cannot just tell us, no, we are not submitting this. I would say only when people are more open and there is graded exposure amongst people to understand what it is to adopt a shelter baby, to adopt a stray baby, to basically be accountable for life in general. I think the process becomes much easier. Once again, reinstating the fact why awareness is so important. I guess now you can see where we are working about or on becomes so vital in this process. Tomorrow,
So
if I...
You're educating kids on this. You're trying to change their understanding of animals.
Right. And sorry.
With that, like my next question is that how effective do you think formal education in this aspect would be? So, I mean, it's also, I think, Zakia's question as well. Zakia also put up that question. Like, is it possible to inculcate such an aspect to Assam's education?
Thank you, Zakia, for this brilliant question. Oh my God, this is something that we love to hear from people and share with people. Manshi, I know this is going to be a common answer from you and me. So here's what I say. If that happens, what she has proposed, that if we introduce animal compassion courses in Assam board or CBSE or ICSE in general, trust me, hum sare NGOs or NPOs ki what lag jayegi, right? You know why I say that? Because not only will we have every little child in colonies calling us and saying there's a case, but then people will become so accountable and they would want to do and make a change. Compassion, okay, maybe this sounds, sorry, I'm so emotional right now. Compassion is really the religion we need right now, because if we say that kindness is the language we must speak, compassion is the religion that we need. I mean, puri dunya, they're fighting between a few religions and ours is better, yours is better. No, I mean, every religion has based itself in faith and compassion. And, all these changes, technically, they shouldn't even have been separately thought. Why is it not an integral part of it already? And kabhi kabar, sorry, this is a question that I'm mostly thinking in the shower, okay? This very question, Zakia, thank you so much. More than kids, pata hai ye courses aane se kisko zyada dikkat hogi? The most important, I would say the most difficult part of it would be with the teachers. Because I'm sure within 100 teachers, if we take a cohort of 100 teachers, I'm sure 20 are scared of dogs, right? So I would say probably unko pehle train karke, then we can go to kids really. And tab, I guess the kids would be like, ma'am, aapko kyun dar lag raha hai? Dekhiye isko aise pakadte. Sorry, I'm just putting in anecdotes so that, people find it easier to understand that, honestly, if we can bring compassion to our formal or informal education, it would really solve the entire problem. The world wouldn't need PETA and, the world wouldn't need any organization. The world would be accountable itself. And does not matter if it's just for Assam kids, even if it goes through every little village in the country, every city, I think we would see a monumental shift in how, we as human beings develop or grow into. So I think, thank you, Zakia, because this is one thing that we always love telling our people.
So like you are working with school kids and you often, I'm sure you visit schools as well, right?
Yes.
So yes. I would like to hear about an anecdote from that, like an interesting, an interesting incident that you might have, an interesting question from a child. But before that, just one question: that are you, like you said, that if animal compassion was inculcated as a formal course in the education system, so it would be great. So are you working, like, is PRCF working in that aspect? Is it pushing for such a course? Is it lobbying for such a course with the authorities?
Okay. So when you ask us that, I would say we have not dwelled into an application of formal format with someone where we want to, talk to people. Yes, we have met Maneka Gandhi ji, we've met, senior people in CBSE board and stuff, but this is the thing. They share similar ideas. They understand and value what we are trying to bring. But you know where everything gets stuck up? When there are too many people and there are too many ideas and they don't know what next to do. Like, सबके दिमाग में अच्छे ideas हैं, but how do we sort of reinforce them? I think the word for it, I would say implementation. I think implementation becomes a huge aspect about how this is going to pan out. Yes, we are trying, but then, when we talk to schools, they say talk to this board. When we go to the board, they say, okay, give us information from the schools. So this is like a both two-way procedure. We'll have to continuously work on both aspects. So not only convincing the board, but convincing individual schools or chain of schools as well. So yeah.
So, like, coming back to your school ventures, so can you tell us an interesting incident that you have had at some school?
Okay. I think when we were in DPS Faridabad, they were very kind enough to sort of welcome us, and they loved the concept. And DPS Faridabad has this unit and network called Sevam. Okay, so Sevam is basically entire school kids who are working for various social causes. I would say probably one day they would grow up into something like Anna Jori, working on multifaceted ideas. So whenever we go in, we pose just a fun question to them. So guys, what is the national flower of India? They'll be like, hey, lotus, I know this answer. And then we're like, tell us what is the national dog of India? And then everybody goes into a shock mode and they're like, ye to pakka Labrador hai. No, it's that Chihuahua wala. No, I think it's that. And that's when we sort of bring up the photograph on the projector and their eyes go, ये तो हमारे गली में रहता है, ये तो हमारे पीछे वाले गली में भौंकता रहता है. And that's when we say, yes, kids, it is the Indian pariah. How is it that they know the names of the Labradors but not the name of an Indian pariah? Why is it that they've only been called as strays? I mean, yahan pe to I would say not many people even know about the definition of a stray. So we'll keep that aside. And that's when I would say interesting anecdote happened when there was this little girl and she said, मैम मैं ना बड़े घर से नहीं हूँ, हरियाणा के एक छोटे से गांव से हूँ, पर स्कॉलरशिप में डीपीएस फरीदाबाद में पढ़ रही हूँ. This is what she told us. We were like, okay, great. आजकल पर मम्मी पापा के साथ सोसाइटी में रहती. So we knew what was coming. We knew she's going to talk about dogs, campus dogs who are in societies and are always sort of, pushed out of the society. It seems she saw an elderly person, probably around his mid-60s, beating up that society dog. And I was like, really? फिर आपने क्या किया? आपने मम्मी पापा को बुलाया? She said, नहीं मैम, मम्मी पापा को नहीं बुलाया, मैं जाके उनके सामने खड़ी हो गई. And I was really, I think I was really having chills when she said that. I was like, फिर क्या हुआ? She was like, मैंने अंकल से पूछा, आप ऐसे मारोगे तो क्या घर के बच्चों को भी आप ऐसे मारते थे? So that is when the entire room became silent. It just took one moment of courage from a little girl of 10 years to stand up to, years of stereotypes in front of her. It took her that one moment of courage to stand up and say, this is wrong. And I think that day, rather than we going and talking to them, I think the children taught us a lot. I think this has to be one of the most moving anecdotes that we have from these sessions. And honestly, we love going to these sessions because more than us talking to the kids tell us कि आप लोग को करना क्या चाहिए फिर. So yeah, I think that little girl standing up to those years of stereotype, and she tells me that that uncle really did learn his lesson. It did not take PFA to come and give him a warning. It did not take PETA India to send him a notice. It did not even take him the Haryana police to come and show up at his door. It just took those few words from a 10-year-old to sort of just shut him up forever. And abhi sunne mein aaya hai that uncle himself goes on a stroll and feeds that very dog. So yes, I think that's where that girl completely won the whole argument.
Okay, so I have one or two more questions, but before that, I would just like to tell the audience that if you have any questions, just put up in the comment box, and I'm sure Prerana and Manshi would be happy to answer them.
Manshi, I
My
think
next
Zakia
question.
has a question.
Let's see. Yes, so her question is about the sterilization of street dogs, and she has often been, concerned about birth control, and more puppies born on the streets means they are more prone to human abuse.
Yes.
So I think she seeks your comments on that.
Go ahead, Manshi.
Yeah, so sterilization is very important. Like it's one of the most important aspects. Why? Because like she said, like what Zakia said, like because of reproduction, there are more number, and like for dogs, like at a time, a bitch can reproduce, they can produce like around average of around 6 to 7 pups at a time. Right. So you can just imagine that 6 or 7 pups now they will breed among themselves, and they'll be like not breed, sorry, they will they will reproduce, and the number will just keep multiplying. So sterilization is very important right now, and you know uh it doesn't come cheap. Okay, and we have to take up initiative to sterilize these dogs. It's very important, as if I'm not wrong, right now on the streets of India, we have around maybe 60 million dogs on the streets. And because of this purpose, we are not sterilizing the dogs. And that is, it's not just, our organizations or, animal rescuers' responsibility, but it is also, people expect us to take all the responsibility. That yeah, they'll call us up and they'll be like, oh, this animal, the dogs here, they're reproducing, aap aake kuch karo. They will, that is it, informal too, but inform karenge, and they want us to do the rest of the thing. Now they have to understand, no, it's not that easy for us also. We have to, there are a lot of things that we have to take in consideration. We have to, you know uh, first of all, it's a, for the first of all, the dog doesn't know us. The dog has to get familiarized with us so that he or she is comfortable to come to us, and we can take him, like, and obviously sterilization is not an easy process. It is, intimidating, it is scary for them as well. And people, common people, I'm not saying that every person has to go pick up the dog, take him to the vet and get the dog sterilized. No, but you can at least provide for the dog, help in any other form. That medication, obviously, if not inside your house, if you're feeling scared, if you're not comfortable, आफ्टर द स्टेरिलाइजेशन, ठीक है, लाइक स्टेरिलाइजेशन हो गया है, बस स्टेरिलाइजेशन के बाद भी थोड़ा टाइम चाहिए होता है कि उनको हील अप करने के लिए. सो दैट्स व्हाई दैट प्रोवाइडिंग an area for them to heal is also important. Like providing a foster, a home, a shelter is also important. We cannot, and also we can dependent on organizations. We cannot just be dependent on any government or any NGO, NPO for this. We have to take up the initiative as well. If we see, I'm not saying कि आप जाओ or provide for 5 animals. Like जितना आपसे हो सके, चाहे एक ही ना हो, it's okay. It's okay. And that brings about a lot of change. That एक एक से तुम शुरू करोगे, तो तभी it'll start reducing in number.
Can I just add here, because I'm reading what Zakia is saying also. The ABC program in sterilization as a whole is one of the core, I would say core foundations of animal welfare. So when I'm saying this, okay, Zakia, answering to your, are they more prone to human abuse? Yes. I mean, even if somebody has not offered them a bowl of milk or anything, let me tell you, so many I mean, let me put only puppies here. So many puppies or kittens die on the road due to the rash driving and innumerable kind of road traffic accidents and incidents that happen in India. I think I'm sure all of you are familiar near Kaziranga and the entire that highway where it's written animal, human kind of coordinate. I mean that corridor, right? Have you ever seen people cross that very path slowly or reducing their speed? I think वो खाली रास्ता मिलके तो वो और जोर से जाते हैं. How many times are we at least conscious or kind of considerate about how is my voice not audible?
No, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so how is it that how is it that we're not even considerate while crossing that very corridor? Sorry, this is just an anecdote. That is one part of human abuse that we can say. Second, you don't even want to hear other conditions in how we find pups. Half of the time, all the activists, whether in Guwahati or Delhi or Bombay, are thinking how to shift them to foster care so that they're not met with an accident, or they are being fed properly, or somebody doesn't just carry out any form of abuse. Trust me, when we work with PF and PETA, we've found out such horrendous cases where even puppies of that, whether they're 2-3-year-olds, even they have been subjected to abuse and rape. So I'm pretty much sure that is the kind of abuse or the kind of heights of abuse that we are looking at, really. And answering here, so how do the NGOs help? See, that is the whole thing. ABC program is not really fulfilled without the community. I think this is still a very, this is a concept that still needs a lot of community involvement in Northeast and Guwahati. But in other parts like Bombay and Delhi where we are working, we have found that ever since the Supreme Court ordered that every citizen of the country is equally responsible for an animal, right? So obviously, example ke liye dogs ko hi le lete hain. Look at dogs. They have been given the legal status of a citizen. Do you know that the care and well-being of the dog in your gully is everybody's responsibility? Every house in that gully is supposed to be looking after that kid. And when I say looking after, it means from their food to the water, to the sterilization program, to their vaccinations, everything. See, this is where Abhishek, we as a country, we lose out because sabko sab tarike ka information nahi pata. This is where awareness comes into the picture. See, ABC program sterilization is gold. We all love it. We activists want to get on with it. NGOs want to work together. Why is it that, it's only a few who understand what it means? There have been a lot of people who actually come and tell us, oh, sterilization, you're working against nature. Really? Is that, and that especially comes from people who have just bought a dog. Shobha nahi deti, literally, we tell it to them that please, get your information correctly, put them in order, and then try to tell us. I mean, sorry, I'm just mentioning Nandini Ba here because this is the kind of, I think I would say the kind of joke that we really, often talk about is that there are millions of people, I mean, Guwahati ka example le lete, who kind of sort of teach us rather how we should be doing things. And if that's when we try to tell them, if you have such brilliant ideas, why aren't you putting them into use? Sorry, Abhishek, just for an anecdote, me and Manshi get asked a very important question by our friends also. कि यार एक तो तुम लोग डॉक्टर्स हो, ह्यूमन वाले डॉक्टर्स हो, एक तो आप लोग को दुनिया, I mean, forget दुनिया, इंडिया में आपको इतनी गरीबी दिखती है, people are dying out of hunger. Why aren't you doing something for the human race? कुत्तों के लिए क्यों करते हो? Sorry, I'm using this kind of a language because इससे भी गंदे टोन में हमें पूछा जाता है. Me and Manshi just have one answer for them. यार दिन के नौकरी में तो हम लोगों का सेवा करते हैं. जब दूसरे टाइम पे वक्त मिलता है, we are mostly with our animals. So if you see a problem at hand, go, work for it, fetch it. Rather than, I guess, bringing down or pulling down other people, why not lift that other person up? Why not tell them, yaar, tu shuru to kar, hum tera saath denge. this should be a time when we are all coming together. We're trying to uplift each other. This shouldn't be a time we're trying to bring that, bring that NGO down. We're trying to bring that group down. Is this really the time? And, it's so funny for me and Manshi because we are fighting COVID-19. Okay. It's one of the biggest pandemic this world or this, millennium will ever see. And people are still out there bad mouthing each other. This is not the time. This is the time to stick together. We have limited resources. We must work together.
Correct.
Yeah. Sorry, Zakia.
Anyway, Zakia, you can actually unmute your mic and you can ask your questions, and that goes the same for everyone. If you have any question for Prerana or Manshi, you can just unmute and ask your questions.
Yes, I have one question about sterilization of dogs, Dr. Manshi and Dr. Priya. So, when I was in Bangalore, I was a volunteer with Coupa. I don't know if you know Coupa, the Compassion Unlimited Class Action is their full name. And they have, so the thing is that when the ABC program, what you were talking about in the past, like 2006, 2007, there have been many dogs that have been taken from a particular area for sterilization, and then after doing the sterilization, they have been released in some other areas which they don't know. So in that reason, that's how there are dogs that it's a new area, they don't get proper food, like the street dogs in some areas where people give them food and suddenly they are taken by for this ABC program, and then after the sterilization they are released in completely another area where they suffer from like other dog maniac and like also not getting food, and eventually they die out. So this is a very big concern, like for this ABC program, like you take a dog from one place and then you put them in another place. It should be like documented, like the dog should be back in the same area where it was earlier. So this is one of my biggest concern. And even I spoke to Coupa about it, but I don't know how does it go. It's like 10, 12 years back when I was volunteering in India with animal organization.
Right.
So this is a very big concern. I don't know how does it work now, but this was like 10, 12 years ago. So this is really matters.
Okay. Do you want us to answer that? Hello, Zakia?
Yes, I want to know like how is it now in India? Like after I'm here since 2014, but I was volunteering in 2007, 2008, like all those years, and I might have been volunteering with all these things like long back. So I want to know how does this. This is a very big concern when it comes to our area. Like about dogs, they are very particular about their area, right? So how does it work now? Is it the same way like it was done years ago?
Okay. Manshi, I think we should start with the Noida thing, right? Okay. So, ma'am, thank you for that brilliant question. I would say, I cannot comment about the situation that was there in 2008 because I think, we weren't really working then. But
maybe you were.
So presently the situation is such that I cannot speak for Guwahati as of now because we PRCF India has we have it in our programs, but we have not started that in Guwahati. But we have done sterilization programs in other parts of the country that our city chapters are in. First of all, we are not even dependent on any government unit. We've tied up with probably, private organizations and rescuers and catchers who sort of, when we catch them and we take them into an ambulance of safety, there's always a volunteer present who's marking them, notifying them, and most importantly, sort of taking, pictorial documentation of all. Hence, just because we are in that drive, we do not really, aisa nahi hai ki, we push in 20 at once. We'll probably just attach 5 or 10 at once so that we know what kind of territory they're coming back into.
Correct.
That's number
territory.
1. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Number 2, I think very few people know that it is illegal to sort of change their territories. And trust me, they are very territorial, not just because of their animal instinct, but that is also a place from where they receive their food, shelter,
Correct.
love, compassion, etc. So it is
Correct.
practical, yeah, it is practically and by law illegal and criminal. Yes. And the ones who are genuinely working for it, ma'am, at least with the sister organizations that we are part of, or, the friends
Uh-huh.
of
Correct.
PRCF, we know that they are being brought back to the territory, right? We have a
Yes.
very, yeah, we have a very dear senior of ours called Dr. Akansha. She works for the ABC program in Kolkata, and
Uh-huh.
she has literally sterilized up to 400 dogs this
Wow.
beginning January 2020, and I
Okay.
can vouch for it personally that yes, they have been brought back to their territory. And honestly, ma'am, I mean, अगर उनको territory में छोड़ेंगे भी नहीं तो कहाँ छोड़ेंगे? Because our worlds have become so so much like a concrete jungle. I mean, everywhere there's a new society or an apartment coming up, and
Correct.
nobody wants dog inside their campuses.
Yes, that's
It's,
very true.
yeah,
Very
most
true.
of the
Yes.
time the municipality corporations get a call, अरे हमारे campus में ये dogs चले आए हैं, please इनको लेके
Correct.
जाइए ना. What they, and
Correct.
this is the same call that all the NGOs and shelters receive too. They don't
Uh-huh.
understand that our shelters are already overburdened. We are already accommodating more than the allowed number of animals in that, and people don't
Correct.
understand that overcrowding is also the basis of a lot of diseases, whether it's humans or
Uh-huh.
animals.
Correct.
So
Correct.
how is it expected that no matter where we are, we just get a call, inko leke jaiye na. What they don't understand that it is illegal even for us to pick them up from there and take them somewhere, number one.
Correct.
Number two,
Exactly.
उठाते भी हैं तो कहाँ लेके जाएंगे? There's no
Correct.
space. I mean, either you have to adopt and not shop, or
Okay.
second, we have to really create programs where there, people are fostering them. And this also raises another issue here in India, that the fostering system concept is still very new to people in India. People
Yes.
think, yeah,
Exactly.
people think that
Mm-hmm.
fostering a animal
Uh-huh.
is literally like, taking them in, and, maybe the one who gives it to them has forgotten. What they don't understand is that, we have to work with fosters, not against them or not without them. They are an
Correct.
integral part about part of how dogs, I'm just using the word dogs here, but kittens and other animals also will
Yes.
get adopted in the future. So yes, everybody's been trying really hard. I obviously cannot speak for the government or the governmental institutions, but yes, as
Yes.
far as what we have done and what our good genuine friends of PRCF have done, or the sister organizations, they're always released back to territory, because honestly, India 2020, ma'am, there's no space. तो उनको
Yes,
accommodate
that's
करने के लिए
I
कहीं और भी जगह
I
नहीं है.
know. Okay.
On
So,
a on a
Dr.
related, yeah, Zakia, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So I have
No, it's
one
fine.
more question. Like, like government initiative in India, and when we tell about the animal laws, which is very, very weak in India compared to the Western countries. When I came here, I just understood what is the huge difference in this country and in India. The difference is the law, the Indian law, the animal law, which people does not take into care. That is the reason, like openly people do the abuse. Like I saw a lot of, like recently the elephant case. Are we running out of time? Am I speaking more?
No,
No,
no, it's
no,
fine.
go
Abhishek,
ahead.
it's okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
like the law is so weak. Like we say, we have law that is in the papers, but exactly when we say in India, the animal law is only on the papers, in the documents, but people don't implement. Like they go to, like people get arrested, they get fine of like 100 rupees or 200 and they are released. Am I wrong, Dr. Prerana, regarding the laws? Like, am I
Ma'am,
wrong?
ma'am, I wish it was even 100 or 200. It's just a mere $50. And this,
Yes.
when you raise this issue, I think this is when the entire animal welfare community comes together. And you must have seen the recent video. I mean, it's not really recent. They've been working on it since time immemorial by Humane Society International, where they had,
Correct.
even celebrities come out in favor of strengthening the animal protection laws. You must have
Yes.
seen where they, ran the campaign called "No More 50" or "No Longer 50." I'm not sure if I'm quoting that correctly, but that's and all the media houses cover it. All the I would say sister channels sort of shared with it. This is exactly the thing. Do you know, we
Yes.
keep complaining, oh, laws are not strong in India, laws are not strong in India. Can I tell you, the laws that
Uh-huh.
were once made, during the initial constitution period or the
Correct.
initial, those were
Okay.
never revised. So what
Yes.
was,
Correct.
what was made or what was instituted, um, yeah, thank you, Pranshu, for that. Yeah, what was instituted back when the constitution really formed or when the laws were being made, it was for, those kind of, 50 years back or 60, 70 years back. But what value does it have today? Probably then 50 rupees made a huge sense to people. What
Correct.
about it now? I mean,
Correct. I agree
50
with
rupees
you.
doesn't even get you a proper pack of nachos nowadays. So is that
This
really the
issue
life
has
of?
been addressed in our sessions. Like the fines are way too low. The implementation of laws is very erratic, and even when they are, implemented in places, they are not, they are not implemented properly even. So I think we
So
do need a system to, take this forward. Uh, I guess Priyanshu has a question here. Uh, so he says, if we can empower our animals in some way, I guess this might help to take care of our mental health of people, and as it would be a paid thing. Priyanshu, if you could just unmute your mic and ask the question, I think it would be better if
Yeah.
you explained
Am I
it.
audible?
Yes.
Yes, Pranshu.
Yeah. The thing is, I just thought of a place where men and people and animals can come together and they can meet each other. Like there will be no adoption process, and the animals would get a respectful life, and they'd be like they are giving a service to the humans, and they will be paid for that, and they'll be like sustaining their own life in some way, and it can be a help for mental health well-being.
I think what he is trying to say is, like, can we have something like service dogs as we have
Yes.
them? Can we
Pranshu,
popularize that culture?
thank you so much for saying that. I think, what you just said was not just a mere question, but it is also the future that we want to see both for our children, our, old age patients, and also also the animals or dogs in general. What you're referring to are actually therapy or service dogs. What you just stated here, a place where we can meet dogs, and this is practically the entire I would say the basis of a beautiful animal sanctuary or a park. Or when I'm saying a park, it does not mean the park where you just sit and chill, but you're actually with the animals. And okay, so I would just divide this question into two. First of all, mental health, and especially because Anna Jori is a huge propagator about the stability of mental health. Um, this is where I think you guys actually took out our future plans out into this question. We really want therapy dogs to become part of normal culture in in people's lives. See, in India, we already face a situation where people don't talk about their mental health openly. So maybe through the communication with an animal or just being with them simply would bridge that very gap. There are a lot of people who suffer from anxiety or other forms of insomnia, but they don't know it and would rather cover it up saying, "Arey nahi yaar, aise hi bechani ho rahi hai, arey nahi yaar, aaj to aise hi neend nahi aayi." What they don't realize that they have an issue at hand. And yes, Pranshu, you're very right. If we can bring in animals as therapy, see, abroad, whether it's Western countries or Middle East, they have this entire concept of therapy dogs. And when you say empower our animals, yes, that's right. Dogs actually have to go a proper training. Number two, they have to pass proper test as therapy dogs. Only then they are given a badge or identity card which says, certified therapy dog, because they are attuned, or they are sort of trained to understand various symptoms of Alzheimer's or Parkinsonism or any sort of other kinds of epilepsy. Have you seen why special needs children are always very friendly around dogs? It's almost like, they have a beautiful connection between the two of them. And what the idea you suggested, oh my God, that would be like the most ideal situation in the world, not just in India, but the entire world, where people can rather go in. Oh, okay, should I just continue with that? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Will that affect any kind of animal rights? First of all, how much of animal rights do we know about? I mean, when we are trying to vouch for them, do you really think, the people who are involved in training their dogs, even they are fully attuned or aware of animal rights? I mean, there must be around, hundreds. How many do I know of? Right? So this is where I'm saying that what you suggested is actually a beneficial cycle on both ways. Definitely, there will be a ethical ground on which it is done. And there are certain bodies, I would say there are certain committees which are formed before they even start off this process. And this has been a very part of normal culture in Western countries. Why is it that we've still not been able to bring in this kind of a thing here in India? First of all, it's never been tried, and thank you for really squashing our future plans. Damn you, Priyanshu. So I would say that this has to be taken into consideration, the animal rights part as well. And honestly, animal rights, apart from all the basic necessities that they have as an animal and their entire health checkup, I think empowering them also gives them purpose. Look at our Indian pariahs, right? The Indian pariahs recently were taken up by the Kolkata police. They were taken up by the Bangalore traffic police. I mean, something changed, right? How is it that the dog Leila in Kolkata police is now sitting and walking past officers just like the other Labradors, right? Somebody recognized her talent, and they are so very intelligent. So I think, what you just suggested is the epitome of ideality, which I think we should all strive for. So thank you, Pranshu.
We
You
really hope that
really...
something like that comes up, that system is soon implemented in India. I think Milan has a question.
I can't see it.
You want to see me? All right. Yeah. So I have few questions. First of all, thank you. Doing excellent job. So I'm curious about PRCF, how old PRCF is, how many people you have, because it looks like you are everywhere, right? I can see, Pune, and this, like, how are you managing? It looks like you're two of you. I'm curious about PRCF. So let me know with that, then I have more questions.
Even if me and Manshi sound like, we have got this and we have,
yes,
held it all together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. But honestly, we're not even a year old. Would you believe that? We're not even a year old. We will only complete our first year on October 7th. And 7 being a lucky number for both me and Manshi. So yes, October 7th will be, on our first year. And thank you so much, Milan sir. What you said just now, this is the thing, really, this very revolution that we are everywhere. This is what we wanted, to be heard, to be seen, really, and to give the youth of today a platform that everybody feels, hey, मैं तो PRCF से हूँ. So, when we see young college kids, really coming out and saying, oh, I work with PRCF. Oh, like, मैं तो PRCF का chapter leader हूँ. You should see the kind of, the light in their eyes that they have. I think that gives me and Manshi, the kind of, I guess, the satisfaction which we initially aimed for. And yes, it's very tough, me and Manshi being practicing doctors, handling 4 city chapters and 5 mini units spread across the country. I think, it's only now that we have started delegating work to other people, but there doesn't go a day where, so that's how the volunteers keep telling us, "आप लोग का number हमेशा busy क्यों आता है?" So that's when me and Manshi are usually on our review meetings. So yes, so far it's been tough, but we love every single day of it.
I guess we are cool now, right? We are associated with PRCF, right? And
Yes, so definitely.
my rescue is here, also looking at you. See,
That's brilliant.
sitting with
That's
me,
brilliant. That's
listening.
brilliant.
All right. So that's great, impressive. We will learn from you also how to do more networking. So then, I have quite a few questions. Starting with the service, you know, um, I remember in Minneapolis, my friend told me that her dog got a job. She was very excited because her dog got a job to see the school teacher. So he became a therapy dog in school because they realized special need kids and kids do better with dog because it
Yes.
reduces anxiety level, right? If there's a
Yes.
dog in the classroom, it reduces the anxiety. But unfortunately, my dog did not qualify because my dog are chihuahuas and they are barky and they have to go through a test. They cannot bark and this and
Yes.
that. So my
Yes.
my dogs flunk in it. All right. So and also we were studying the animal shelter in Minneapolis, and then we found that they have various classes. The volunteer do various classes to raise fund. For example, you guys also need fund, right, to do
Yes.
all the neutering and stuff like that. So they
Yeah.
had the whole list of them. I forgot all that, but they had volunteers who work with kids how to draw animals, right? So animal drawing or how to take pictures of animal, because the other day I was trying to take picture of the animals, so difficult, like they're running around and there's a so all kind of stuff that they do. And they also do events where they have animal stuff, like whether it's a private event or public event, and they have different fees level. All right.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how they generate funding, and that funding could be used for your stuff. And I have a slide for that I would like to talk to you about. And I'm very glad that all these people that I want to connect, I'm glad that your favorite Nandini Ba is there and listening. And
Yeah.
then Jakia is there. She is volunteering with us from New York, and she has also various, experience doing thing in New York. There is also Dharitri is there from Dibrugarh, who is also helping us documenting. I'm so happy to have everybody over here. And also the one thing they say that you are all these young people, right? The young people are really looking for a partner in their life. So have a token, because there my friend often said that if you keep a tree alive for 2 years, then you keep a dog alive for 2 more years, then you are ready for a relationship, right?
I would
So
completely say yes to that.
so that should be a tagline too. Already it is cool, and they are also getting prepared so that you are with PRCF. That means you are ready for a relationship, right? If they have dog also.
My mother would like to think otherwise. She would think that I would end up being with animals for the rest of my life.
So that thing. Then I have a main question over here, is that you are talking about uh, the area and territorial and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But say you rescue a dog,
Mhm. Mhm.
in certain areas who will really, having lots of health issue and all that. You
Mhm.
spend so much of time, your resources, and all to make the dog feel okay.
Mhm.
Then how do you feel like? I mean, I won't feel like giving the dog back to the street where they get crushed by the Ola or Uber and all this rowdy people, and nobody care. Of course, if they had cared, then the dog would not have been that situation. And when
Yes.
you went and you rescued and you put all the
Yes.
love and energy and time and
Yes.
resources,
Yes.
I mean, of course you won't feel like put it back to street. So what do you
Mhm.
do about that?
Okay. I think this is a very important question that you just asked me. So here in India, people are practically working in these two very aspects, right? So if I look at our favorite Nandini Ba, the moment she rescues a dog, she makes it her life's mission to get that dog a home. I mean, her main goal in life becomes that this kid is going to a place that, you know, he or she deserves. Second, there's another set of people who sort of believe in, you know, the groundwork has to, you know, stay on the ground, fix them, treat them, get them back on the streets, right? And this is also how Animal Aid in Udaipur, who is already a verified organization, is working. You know, so they try that, you know, containing all the cases is very difficult within their shelter, even though their shelter is spread across acres. They try that, you know, the cases that can be managed on the street should be done there and there. I mean, we have talked to a lot of other organizations who have now shifted their focus from boarding and shelter to treating them on the ground, right? And obviously, the logistics are just a part of it, but that is one part. Second, I guess when it comes to PRCF, we would say that it has to, I mean, it has been very different for us in different parts of the city, right? So if we see in a place like Bombay where, you know, immediate care and first aid can be given, we give that, and we make sure that that kid literally practically is safe within that territory. And also there are people looking after. You see, people in Bombay again are very emotional about their community dogs. So they're just not passionate about, you know, gully boys, but they really mean gully boys when, you know, it's their gully kids as well. So this is when they come together, and that's a welcome change. So then, you know, our volunteers then go and say that, listen, we are going to do a weekly check, but we want them to take care, you know, you guys to take care as well. Now, the same thing when we come to Guwahati, I would say that we are still very new in the rescuing part. And obviously, Nandini Ba has been a huge inspiration to us, ever encouraging us to do better. You know, just the other day, we were saying that PRCF just stuck with CD cases. It's the deadliest disease ever. And we've just been stuck with canine distemper. It remains one of the most deadliest viral diseases among the canine population. And it just has a very bad prognosis. I know I didn't even want to bring up CD today because we've been so emotional, whatever the cases we've been seeing. But that's the thing, you know, we've been trying to sort of go throughout with them, you know, no matter, you know, the day that they lose their breath, they end their life, we want to give them a, you know, respectful death. We want to, you know, be there with them till the end of time. And secondly, I think in Guwahati, we're more focused right now on getting Nandini Ba's shelter kids adopted, because I keep telling her, all your kids are going home. You know, that is one promise as PRCF. If we are so, you know, proud of our network, this is what we aim to do. Every kid deserves a chance. And I have personally seen her struggle with all these kids, you know, not just monetarily or resource wise, but the kind of energy and emotional quotient that gets attached to these kids. So yes, if they go into proper homes, definitely. And so, like you said, a lot of organizations from Minneapolis who sort of contact organizations in Delhi who specifically ask for the, you know, the bad cases. They don't want to take the healthy Indian pariahs. They are like, oh, paralyzed, yes, you know, put them in the cargo. Oh, okay, one leg missing, put them in the cargo. So I think this is really beautiful. And I think Yogi Street Dog Rescue and Delhi Street Dog, they've been working continuously regarding this. And I would say, fine. I mean, let our Indian pariahs travel the world and, you know, see the other side of the world as well. But yes, there are strict protocols as well. You cannot just lift up an Indian pariah and send him off abroad. There are certain regulations which everyone has to go through. So yes, sir, I would say we base, you know, ourselves in the city that we are in and work accordingly, because, you know, the community, it cannot just be against the community always, right? It has to be with the community. So that's another aspect. I would say we are trying our best to sort of involve the community and youth in general. And the ones who are at PRCF, oh yes, oh, wo to jaake sabko, you know, sharing the stories. I think storytelling is a huge part of PRCF. So
Great. And can I ask you the last question? So other thing that I often see is that, to me, the kola already, like that, you know, we have so much of struggle that, you know, people, including your Nandini and others, they're doing their best, and they need their support. They need people to say that, hey, doing good job. Yes, I got your back, and in any cases, whether it's a human, activist, or welfare people, or animal, whatever. And I have seen that in specifically in Assam, instead of supporting, and even within the group, whether it's LGBT activists, also same thing. They're just pulling each other down. It's like in a bucket, there's a lots of frog, and the frog is pulling each other leg. Sorry, Nandini, I call you frog, but anyway. Um,
We are happy
so
frogs, tadpole
yeah,
included.
yeah. So what could you do? What is as a young generation, and specifically, you are young. I have really sometimes had a rough time working with the young. Not everybody is as mature as you are, but I think that they are quick, very quick to make judgment, and then no respect with people who had more experience, or you know um, and they have WhatsApp nowadays, right? You can hide behind your cell phone and go to WhatsApp and write any nonsense. So, and then make people like our hair go gray. So what advice do you have? Because we would love to work with the young generation. They have lots of passion, and I feel positive that people are there doing all this work, and good to see the change. Not like our parent generation or us who are going after government job, or money, uh, but people who are going after passion. That's great. But then how could we try and learn to respect each other, and then support each other, rather than bitching about each other?
Manshi, you want to take that?
I think better if you take, because I know I'm gonna get very emotional about this.
I think so. What you just said makes me and Manshi so emotional because, when we are dealing with 120 people, I know it's not a huge number. Probably for a NPO, it's not a huge number. But we have come to realize that these are 120 different personalities. Every individual is so opinionated nowadays. It's not like, oh, kaam karana hai, bas bol do, kaam ho jayega. No, the moment we assign a task, you know, let me just say kids here, the kids come up with 10 other suggestions. Hey, why are you doing like this? Why not try it like that? So I think, sir, this present millennial
No
generation
more
simply
star,
wants.
okay?
Oh, okay, right
Remember?
on.
Yep. Okay. All right.
So I would say I think this millennial generation really wants to be heard. When I say they want to be heard, I think they want to be understood for how they are. Sometimes you probably we think, okay, the ideal person should be like that, but this generation is challenging that very factor. That we're not going to stand by your stereotypes. We're not going to be this. We are going to stand up for what we are. Right. So when I say this, I know that people like you have been working tremendously into this, but this is the gap I guess people feel. That when I say people here, I mean the millennials. I think they want to be understood as they are. And like you said, hiding behind WhatsApp and challenging the world, um, you know, we keep talking about the keyboard warriors, right? I think you just upload a picture, there's going to be 100 trolls on that, right? So this is something I think that we need to take it very seriously, because let me just give you an example. We have our IG live sessions called Heroes of PRCF, where we connect everyday organizations and youth who've never gotten a chance to speak but can through us. So when we do that, our hosts are, normal people like you and me, who are trying to just probably take out some time to talk. And that's when, our very dear host had started off the session, and we saw a lot of trolling on the comment section. Like the session had not even started, and there was a lot of trolling. And let me tell you here, sir, this wasn't even a case about senior, junior, bara, chota. This was probably millennials attacking millennials. So, like I say, that social media has given everybody a platform to voice their opinions. I think it goes both ways. People voicing for the good, and people also voicing on basis of how they feel inferior to others. I mean, what is trolling really? If we look at it from a medical point of view, what is it? It's really like projecting your insecurities on somebody else. So I would say, I think working with millennials, we have realized that, being sorry about that, we are millennials ourselves. I think it's just been a journey of understanding every personality differently. If we tell them, Kal Subah event hoga, they're never going to be on that event together. Me and Manshi will keep waiting. They're never going to be in that event together. I just had a late night, or there would be things like, oh, today's just not the day. So, we don't mind that. Honestly, me and Manchi don't mind that. You know why? Because they value their own words. When I say they value their own words, वो busy है मतलब वो busy है. आप कुछ भी करके हाथ जोड़ लो आ जाओ. No, if they're busy, they're busy. I think these are just small examples of how we've been dealing with these people. So rather than telling them 9 o'clock tomorrow meeting, no, you have to be like, what time are you free, guys, for the meeting? So it becomes more a request than an order, really. And I think it's been beautiful. It's been crazy. It's been, I would say, a roller coaster with all of them. And we are not even sure if we want to extend that 120 into a bigger number, because we are not sure two people will be able to handle that really. So yes, I think, our suggestion would be, take them as they are, listen to what they've got to say. Sometimes these millennials have much more matured opinions than us really. Sometimes they tell us such a kind of suggestion or opinion, it really shakes us up as well. So I think they just want to be heard really. I hope all the millennials will be happy after listening to me.
But one thing you would be knowing as a doctor with age, the patient also goes reduced, right?
That is there. Yes.
That's true.
Back to you.
That's true.
Back to you, Abhishek.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I think we are out of time. If there are no more questions, I would like to conclude this session. Thank you, Dr. Prerana. Thank you, Dr. Manshi, for speaking to us today. And I thank our viewers for joining us for this very informative session. Please join us tomorrow on our session at 10 a.m. We'll have a session on solving India's waste problem. We'll have a very learned experts on the panel. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. And thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.